Hi, I'm Ian Corzine, your social media lawyer. Today we're talking about how to prepare for the end of social media as we know it. Now, the first question that comes up, I'm sure, is why do we need to prepare? And the answer to that question is kind of a long explanation, but I think you and I know the factors about why social media is not going to last, as we know it, is not going to last forever. And I think the first step is understanding that social media is becoming more and more dependent upon special interests. We're starting to see social media outlaw certain use of words that we can't use. We just have to stay away from them, or we have to make up some slang or something to be able to describe our ideas and express ourselves. And then finally, we're starting to see a crackdown, a huge crackdown on copyrighted content and the ability for you to be able to borrow someone else's content, transform it, make it awesome, and then be able to have a successful video. So what we're talking about today is, what do we do? It doesn't mean that we get angry with social media. It doesn't mean that we want to boycott social media. You have to understand that basically what that means is we have to accept what is. Whether it be 6 months, a year, or 2 years from now, social media is going to markedly change, and we need to prepare now. Take steps now to be able to survive, so that our accounts survive, so that our online businesses survive. So that's what we're talking about today. We're going to get into some real concrete steps now about what you do to prepare for the end of social media as we know it. And the first thing to understand before we get into the steps is social media. Let's say you're on YouTube or you're on Facebook or Instagram. They actually own your audience. You don't. In other words, when you put out that new YouTube video and the notifications go out, that is YouTube doing that. Matter of fact, sometimes they don't send out all the notifications, and you can't control that. You can't complain about it. You just have to make do. But what do you do? How do you control your own notifications? How do you control your audience? Well, what you do is you use social media for what it was designed for initially, which was advertising, right? Monetizing people's attention. So you use it for the original purpose that it actually started from, and then you are able to bring them to a platform that you control or have better control over. So that is kind of what we're going to be talking about. I just want to start by saying hi to some people out there. We got corporate account. What if you're talking bollocks? Well, I could very well be talking bollocks. I could be wrong. But I do see the writing on the wall, and I see social media changing markedly. DSR Dave is here. Good to see you, Dave. Thank you so much for the thumbnail today. Cobalt Fox Place is here. Good morning, Cobalt. Maximizer is here also. Good to see you. Ramiz is here. Good to see you. We got Mr. Vigia. More doom and gloom. Enough said. Yeah. I never want to be negative on this channel, but I also want to be able to face reality. And I just don't think that continuing on the way social media existed in 2015 is sustainable for social media itself. I see independent creators on YouTube and some of the other social media platforms being kind of squeezed out in favor of paid creators or mainstream, programming. So again, it's not something to get upset about. It's just something to prepare for. And so we're going to go through those steps today. Doug is here. Doug Houston, good to see you. I'm so happy to see you here today. And we got Andrew. Good morning, Andrew. Great to see you. Vinyl Conspiracy Gamer Law. That's right, with an asterisk. Very good. And then also Kristen Nation's here. Great to see you. Awesome. Let's move on to discussing our topic today. And let me get the panels up here. And so we talked about why you need to prepare. The writing's on the wall. Social media is being beholden to special interest. We can't use copyrighted content like we used to be able to do it. Social media is outlawing use of certain words on our videos. So what does that mean? We just need to shift and we need to pivot over time. And the first step, I think we talked about it, was start owning the relationship with your community, figuring out a way to be able to own that relationship. And the major step to doing that is with an email list. And I know Roberto Blake has talked about this a lot. A lot of the other online entrepreneurial creators have talked about this. But if you haven't started yet, I think it's really important for you to be able to create that email list. Frankly, I have an email list with many thousands of members on our email list. And I started it way back when, I want to say in 2019. And really, and I got to be honest with you, I kind of didn't know why. Everyone was saying, you got to make sure you have an email list. And so what I would do is I would provide reports, I would provide how-to guides, I would do little mini ebooks, and then I would give those to people for free in exchange for them joining our community. And I have to tell you that over time, it kind of got steam. And now we have many, many thousands of people that are on the email list that actively engage on our social media broadcasts and also our videos. So beginning with an email list, and I know it sounds a little antiquated because who's using email on a day-to-day basis, but it really does work. What I equate it to, it's kind of like your own notification system. So instead of relying on YouTube's notifications or TikTok's, what you can do is you can send out an email and provide the information about your latest live or your latest video, maybe your blog post, maybe your podcast. And what's so great about email as opposed to other types of notifications from social media platforms is that you can provide other content. One of my favorite creators, Jevin Dovey, I get his email newsletter a lot, and it'll say his latest video. It'll allow you to click into it, but it'll also provide other videos that he's done sometimes years ago that you didn't know about and you can rediscover. So it's a super notification and something you should take advantage of. So the next question is, well, how in the heck do you start an email list? Well, you have to understand that people's email addresses have value, and listen, they don't want a lot of spam. So what you have to do is you have to promise that in exchange for getting their email, you're going to deliver value to them. And oftentimes the value is just letting them know about stuff that you're doing to help them. So it could be some free guides. It could be, like I said, some videos, some how-tos, things like that, stuff they can't see on the other social media platforms. And then eventually you can build an engaged community and then have this email list. So let's say you were, I don't even know if you guys remember, but you were a Parler creator. You know, Parler went offline for a long period of time. And that way you can say, hey, my Parler creators, we're moving to Rumble, or we're going to move to Telegram, or we're going to move to a different platform, or we're going to move to a paywall site, which we'll move on as discussion next. Once you get that email list, you can allow people to engage you on social media, but also on your paywall site. And it's important to start this because, you know, this AdSense revenue that you get, maybe these affiliate links that you get that you make some money on, they're not going to be there forever. You're going to have to figure out another way for a reasonable and a valuable exchange of resources in exchange for you teaching someone how to do something or you entertaining someone. There has to be a reasonable fee. And so there's a variety of different ways you can do that. We can get into it in a minute. But first, I want to talk to some people who are here, and I'm so thankful they are. We got Twyla Barnett. Good to see you. No sugar coating reality is good. Thank you. That's my goal. I really don't want to take a stand on if it's bad or good. I just want to be able to get you prepared so that if it is bad, maybe I'm totally wrong, and I hope I am, that at least you have a plan B. I don't want people with no plan B. We got Roblox Beck. Hi, good to see you. Good morning. We have Vinyl Conspiracy Gamer. Is this a new law being put in place? No, it's not a new law being put in place. I'm just seeing incremental changes to, let's just say, the YouTube community guidelines. We've done a couple lives about YouTube community guidelines. We're starting to see a whole section on you can't mention certain terms related to the pandemic. We're seeing lots of discussion about harassment and argument and things that can happen on the platform. And a lot of times that's what people are doing. They're doing debates. They're doing shows where they're criticizing world leaders. And I see over time that going away. So it doesn't mean you don't do those things, because a lot of people like that type of content and actually get value of that content. It just means that you may need to build up a plan B. So God forbid you're thrown off the conventional social media, you have a place to land. We also got Queen Helen Casey. Get rid of tyrants would be a blessing. I know. It seems really difficult for us to be able to do that. I guess power corrupts. Sometimes it's difficult. I'm going to go back to watching Hell of a Boss. Okay, you do that. Okay. We got Swiftbird. New platforms are popping up, but they are so varied. Yeah, there are a lot of new platforms on social media, and it's hard to know which one to go with. I think the most important part is to figure out within your niche, the area you're passionate about, how you can keep people engaged on a certain platform, what platforms are for. So if you're talking about business projects, you're talking about how to get a job, how to be employed, maybe it's LinkedIn. If you're trying to do entertaining content all the time, jokes or dances or pranks, maybe that's TikTok. Kind of figure out that platform and then be able to make your content sit on that platform. And then additionally, again, you never want to be platform centric and say, listen, I'm just a TikTok creator. You want to make sure that you have backup platforms. So we also got Andrew here. How do we get permission to post written copyrighted materials? Which ones are free and which ones are not? Well, you're just going to have to determine whether or not the written copyrighted materials, well, first of all, a lot of those materials are in the public domain. So a lot of times you can publish that material just for free. And the way to determine that is just to do a search or a DuckDuckGo search on with Google or on DuckDuckGo and be able to determine whether or not that's currently copyrighted or not. Otherwise, you can use the terms of fair use and be able to access that material by either reading it or showing a brief image of the page. There's lots of ways to get written copyrighted content on your videos. We got Deritos Garantias. Good morning. I'm from Brazil and I really appreciate your videos. Well, thank you for saying that. That means a lot to me. I really love trying to bring some value to you, and it means a lot. Thank you. We got Ramiz saying, how about animation then? Well, animation is kind of a difficult topic because certainly the animators have a copyright to the content that they make. And then oftentimes those people that create the animation have a license from the owner of the brand. So you kind of have two layers of copyright that you have to contend with. The only way that I've seen it successfully done is if you use fair use and you are able to either create your own art on other platforms like Upwork or Fiverr. You're able to do just flash images of the animation. You're able to discuss the animation. A lot of times people underestimate the value of their words. People can derive a lot of entertainment, a lot of value for you just talking about the animation. So that's important too. Let's get back to what we're talking about as primary today, and that is how to prepare for the end of social media. So we talked about paywall sites. Let's do this. Let's make a commitment today after this broadcast that you establish an account on Patreon. I'm trying to think. What's the one? Oh shoot, I'm blanking on it right now. I had it listed here. Buy Me a Coffee. A lot of people are really liking that one because it's attractive for people. It doesn't cost a lot to be a member of the site. Obviously, Kickstarter, if you're doing a project. Podia is blowing up right now, especially for podcasts. It's Subscribestar. I actually did some research into Subscribestar. That's another paywall type site that a lot of people like. A lot of functionality with lives and videos and images and posts and things like that. So make sure that after this broadcast, you start something like that, or at the very least, if you don't already, create your own website and make sure that the material that you publish to YouTube or TikTok or Instagram appears on that site, and begin to pull people from the social media sites to your paywall sites. And one of the ways you can do that is, let's see, move it to here, is to recognize that social media really exists as a marketing platform, as an advertising platform. So it's really more important for you to view your social media accounts not as a canvas, not as something for you to paint on, but as something for you to be able to create an ads for your art. And I don't mean it in a very pessimistic or in a monetary gain type sense. I'm just trying to say that part of creating art is actually letting people know that it exists. And one way you can do that is through social media. And if you think about let's say I think Ramiz was talking about an animation. You are an animator, you create this animation. Don't say this is going to be my YouTube video. This is my animation for presentation on multiple platforms as a means to get the word out on my animations. And then what's great is that if you create content on the social media platforms that has a real good hook that brings people in, then what you can do is you can kind of do the video and then lead them, say, listen, and for more of this, or for the end of this animation, go to my website or click below for my website, and that will take them to a paywall site or at least your own website. so that then you can monetize the content or be able to get them on your email list and let them know about more content if you don't want to monetize it. So it really should be viewed as not just something I do. I'm a YouTuber. I make YouTube videos. No, you're a creator and you use the social media platforms gratefully because they've given it to you for free as a means to let people know about your art. So I'm not Ian Corzine, your social media lawyer, a YouTuber. I am a social media lawyer that uses YouTube, that uses Instagram, that uses Facebook, that uses LinkedIn to be able to get the word out on value that I want to give to the public. So that's something that really is a paradigm shift that I would love for you guys to take in. Another thing, and the kind of one of the other steps to prepare for the end of social media as we know it is to reduce the use of copyrighted content. And we've talked about this a lot on the lives. Social media platforms, including YouTube, including TikTok, which has some very harsh rules about copyright, are increasingly disallowing you to meme use content. In other words, to borrow content, to make fun of it, to parody it, or to even just make comments on it and then allow that to be up. We're seeing more and more copyright strikes. And also we're seeing more and more erroneous ones that are just kind of messing with your account. So as you go forward and you be able to brainstorm your content, just remember that if there's any way to reduce your use of copyrighted content that you do not have permission to use, please take that. What does that mean? That just means that if you're talking about a famous movie, The Godfather, you might have a 2-second clip of a scene, and then you might have some art that you made or that maybe you had a Fiverr person make that pops up as part of the B-roll. You might have some images or some title text that appears on the screen. You might just use your words. You might read from the original book, Mario Puzo's Godfather. Be creative in your discussion of popular topics. That is the way you're going to see around having the situation where you can get shut down by social media. So that is a big step in preparing for the eventual end of social media. I'm going to get some comments here. Just want to make sure we're good here. We got Twyla Barnett says, this is everything I need, but I'm a busy business owner. I need to partner with someone to help my marketing. Absolutely. You can't do this without a team. I think in the beginning, sometimes you have to make ends meet. And a lot of ways you can do that is just by using your phone and be able to make sure you appear consistently. We talked about, I think in the last live, we talked about one of the biggest skills to cultivate, and you're going to run into tons of existence from family, from friends, is to make sure that you show up and you plan ahead. I've kind of made this commitment to be live on YouTube on Saturdays at 8 a.m. And so sometimes there's problems. Sometimes there's listen, I have to juggle my schedule. I have to change things. I have to disappoint people to be able to be consistent. But it's really, really important because people appreciate that. People can engage with that. So in the beginning, if you do not have a team, you can't afford it. I think the first step is to be able to think thoughtfully about your offering, your gift to people. And then secondarily, kind of get comfortable with the fact that you're going to have to make ends meet. You're going to have to, sometimes the lighting's not going to be particularly perfect. Sometimes there's going to be roosters in the background. Sometimes you're going to have wind noise. It's just going to have to be what you do until you can build some momentum, hopefully monetize your content with a paywall site, and be able to have a team. And a team will make your life absolutely much easier. So I know, I hear you. I've been the same thing. Shlomo Mueller, you're rocking the backdrops these past couple of videos. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm so blessed to be in Maui today. And yeah, I'm trying to take advantage of this beautiful flora and fauna. I know I'm a little blown out right there, and that was bugging me. such a perfectionist when it comes to this stuff, but thank you so much. Yeah. Exploring Israel. Hi, got your email. Well, good. Thank you so much. Again, utilizing my email list to let people know that I'm going live today. So thank you so much for showing. We got Josh Baxley. Hey, have you heard of a YouTube channel called 3D Bot Maker? He does diecast racing and it has great quality. I have not. I'm going to check that out though. That sounds awesome. Any channel, I'm a big YouTuber. What I mean is I consume a lot of YouTube, rarely watch normal TV, mostly watching YouTube stuff, downloading it on my phone and things. So I'm going to check that out. That's awesome. We got Thomas Yee here. What social media would you recommend for nonprofit organizations? Really good question. The answer to the question depends upon the subject matter of your nonprofit. a lot of people in nonprofit space that come to me in consults, and they've said, LinkedIn is where we're going to go because we're professional. And I say, okay, I get that, but understand that it's not just that LinkedIn is more professional and people wear ties and all that. It's actually people want to talk about employment-related type stuff there. So you really have to analyze that. I've seen nonprofits do very well on YouTube. I'm thinking that the catch-all these days, because a lot of eyeballs right now are on TikTok. Matter of fact, there was an article last week about the fact that TikTok and YouTube are vying for the public's attention around the world. YouTube is still the king, but TikTok is coming up close. So, and what's nice about TikTok is that you can it's a good home for varied content. The only thing you have to understand is kind of like we talked about in Lax Live, is you have to do either novel, funny, educational, or inspirational content to be able to really survive on TikTok. And you have to get right to the point, because people's attention spans are much shorter and they're really used to the flicking up. So TikTok would be a good opportunity. I think YouTube for long form content is really the only place these days. There was the thought that IGTV would be good for long form content. Not seeing a lot of people watching IGTV, and frankly, all we're seeing right now is IG Reels being successful. You could certainly, if you made TikToks, move those over to IG Reels. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. But yeah, if you would like to put in the comments what type of, what's your subject matter for your nonprofit, maybe I can give you a better answer on that. We got Swiftbird. Does art older than 50 years have a copyright? It just depends, but generally, yes. The rule is across the world, it changes. Life plus 70 years. So that is probably copyrighted content. However, don't forget about the concept of fair use. And we could talk about that more in detail. Queen Helen Casey says, I've never had my own website. Well, Queen, I appreciate that. And I understand that it's a lot to take care of, but getting a domain name doesn't cost that much. I mean, my gosh, it can be $1.99. It can be free for a year. If there's nothing else that you take away from today's presentation, that is, please, after this, just register your domain name. And if it's going to be queenhelencasey.com, just lock that up. Maybe over time, you're going to want to be able to have a much more comprehensive website. And if you own the domain name, no one else can take it. So I think that that's a really important step. I would also encourage you to visit Patreon. Just create an account. It doesn't start a whole process if you create an account there, but register your name there. Maybe there's a need for you to deliver content for a fee. Maybe you charge members $2.99 a month to watch your funny videos or something like that. But just take that action. Just reserve. Maybe you can't. Maybe it's difficult to make ends meet. You're working all the time. You can't make a ton of content. But just preserve this stuff for later on when you can live your dream. So I think that would be a real good step in the right direction if you haven't already. DSLR Dave says, totally agree. Have your own website is a way to go and often neglected by many. Absolutely. And the other part too is that you never know if you're going to pivot. Some of us start off and doing funny videos, but then we realize we really want to educate people on cooking. So if you have your own website and it's in your name or in your brand, then you can pivot. And you can bring people to that website. So I agree with that. Sim Architect says, the problem is YouTube and other platforms are burying our content when we do. And yes, that is true. There's a number of articles, I think in Medium, about people experiencing being buried. And they actually have evidence of it. Their videos are not being shown to new viewers, just being shown to subscribers. So we are seeing that. So that is the problem. But I think the solution is not to get angry, not to boycott and go, gosh, we have a right to social media. We have a right to free speech online. We got to express ourselves. We can save those arguments, because I believe that we do, but we could save those arguments for another day. The bottom line is it's not looking good because social media can do whatever they want. So it doesn't mean to get angry, because that takes away your energy. It just means for you to shift your focus. Use social media as advertising for your main content. It would just be like a painter. A painter paints on a canvas, but a painter's got to get the word out about his or her paintings. So they either create a gallery, or maybe they use social media, Instagram or something like that, to get the word out about their paintings. A painter doesn't give a crap, about Instagram necessarily. That painter wants to get the word out about her paintings. So view it the same way. Your creations are your art. It doesn't matter where they exist. So use social media to advertise and then drag them over to your website or a pay site. Oh boy, shoot! I got to get to these comments. Sorry, I'm behind here. We got Hannah here. I appreciate this much. I've been wondering if I should create a website or use the membership section of YouTube. This is really helping me get clear. Hannah, I have used the membership section of YouTube, and I have a membership program if you guys want to join. And I like it. It's actually a kind of a fair use of your resources. It's one thing to consider, but I wouldn't have a membership site and not have your own membership site. That's why a lot of times people come to me and say, listen, I'm good. I'm on Patreon. And I go, Patreon is great. And generally they allow a lot of varied content. They're much more open than, let's say Facebook is. But they still control the website. So if for whatever reason you got in a situation where you got in an argument with Patreon, they do have checkmate. They can just say, sorry, don't want to do business, and they can delete you from the site. So again, use Patreon. I like it. Use it with caution. The ultimate safest thing, and it's not super safe, but it's the ultimate safest, is your own website and your own membership program. There's a lot of apps out there. I can actually put them in the description section that help you have your own membership on your website. And that way you control it. And subject to someone seeing your website and somehow censoring it, which hopefully that's not going to happen, you're not going to have a problem with your website. So if Hannah, you were talking about YouTube memberships or website memberships, if I were to give you my experience and my advice, I would say focus on your website memberships first. Get that going. There will be a time where websites are even more pliable, and they'll be able to have, VR and all sorts of cool content that you can deliver to your community. So I would focus on that. I wouldn't discount YouTube memberships, but I would focus on that first, get that rolling, and then say, hey, is there a need for this? On my website, the memberships are so that they can get access to my templates or to my plugins or to my behind the scene video. But my membership on YouTube is for funny videos, kind of differentiate why someone would want to be a member of one and not the other. Hedge your bets. That's the best thing. We got Stock Explorer. Hi, Ian and friends. Good to see you, Stock Explorer. Give us some stock tips. Let us know what's going to happen. Fran's here. Hi, Ian. Thanks for your precious help. What would you recommend for life coaches, motivational speakers who want visibility? Fran, I absolutely think that you need to demonstrate to people what you give your clients. What people want to see is what services you're delivering. It's one thing to say I'm a life coach and here are my success stories and here are my testimonials. It's another thing for people to actually get in your mind and see what you do. So I think the best thing for you is to make sure you're on social media, make sure you have your own website. And then what I would do is use those social media sites and the comments you get as the basis for your videos. That way you can kind of, not use a private case. You can actually not use names and things, but you can use the comment or the question as the basis for your video. And I think one of the ways that I've seen it done successfully is, first of all, you present the comment or the question, then you answer like in a step process, and you can give them a couple of pieces of advice. And then you say, for my best advice on this, and the thing that I think is really going to help you in this situation, join me on the link below, and I can go into more detail on this particular answer step, whatever it is. That's a great way to have people go, okay, cool. I got some value out of my YouTube video or my IG reel or my Instagram post. And then I want to get more value. So I'm going to go to the website. And then at the website, just say, listen, I'm happy to have you here, but I really want to know you. So could you please give me your email address? Get the email address so that you can notify them of future content, allow them to access the best piece of advice that you can give. And then people understand that they're not only getting value, but they're getting to know you. And they know that when they hire you as a life coach, this is what they're going to get. So I think it's a really, really good strategy for building a community and at the same time adding value, because that's really what you want to do. Marketing is all about helping people. I know we kind of think about, what are the shortcuts to marketing? How do I get views and how do I get more subscribers? But really think about it. Marketing is just saying, listen, I have something of value to you that's going to solve one of your problems. I need to get the word out. So I'm using this to get the word out. So I think that's the best approach. We got Serendipity Bakery, Bakery, excuse me. YouTube cracking down on copyright at the same time they want us to allow others to sample our content. Well, yeah, that's exactly right. You didn't think that YouTube wanted to be consistent about that, right? They oftentimes speak out of this side of the mouth and also speak out of this side of the mouth at the same time. Yeah, we've talked about this and kind of gone into detail. What is the nitty gritty of social media platforms? They really make a lot of money from our stealing of content. I mean, I don't want to use that term, but they really do. And so a lot of times they have to, on one side, appease the copyright holders by putting together terms of service and community guidelines that say, we don't allow stealing of content and you got to use these fair use factors. On the other hand, they're like, dude, just go ahead. And you know that's true because you see tons of YouTube videos, tons of TikToks, tons of Instagram posts where there's copyrighted content all over the place and you're confused. You're like, dude, can I or can I not use copyrighted content? Well, the answer is there's not a real answer. It's ambiguous. My suggestion is that the people who are using copyrighted content, they're not honoring the fair use factors, are going to get caught at one point. And I don't want you ever to be one of those people. I don't want you to get caught with your pants down. That's why we're talking about today, protecting yourself in the future. And that's why one of the main ways you can do that is to try to use less copyrighted content and to believe in yourself. Bet on yourself. Creators come to me in consults and they're always like, but if I don't show this scene, but if I don't show this animation, if I don't show this book page, they're not going to really be engaged. They want to see that. And I'm like, no. You really have to value yourself. Those people out there want to see you, the real you, not borrowed content. They want to see what you have to think about that Star Wars scene. They don't really want to see Luke Skywalker with a lightsaber. Certainly, to give them context, you can broadcast, a 2-second clip of Luke Skywalker with a lightsaber, but ultimately, the bulk of the content is you giving your opinions about that, and that's content they can't get anywhere else. So please do not underestimate yourself and your ability to give value, to give your opinions, to be funny. It's not always going to work. Sometimes it's going to go flat. You're not always going to be the funniest you want to be. But people recognize the genuine, real you, and they will become part of your community. Let's just make sure that we don't build this awesome 1 million subscriber community on YouTube, and then YouTube says we're not allowing any copyrighted content at all in a year and a half from now. Let's just make sure that we have a plan B, because if you don't have a plan B, then you're really in a bad way. And the only reason I'm giving you this advice is because I've had creators come to me and they're big. They've made so much money. They're feeding their family. They have 50 million subscribers. I mean, they're really huge, right? And they get a copyright strike for doing something on one of their videos that they've done hundreds of times. And they're saying, Ian, I know my channel's not in jeopardy right now. I've just got a copyright strike. I'll go to copyright school and everything will be fine. But I've done this hundreds of times in other videos. I've created my whole online business that probably will get me to retirement using this platform. So what do I do? And I go, gosh, we certainly can take measures to be able to protect yourself now. We can either remove some videos, we can edit some videos, we can talk to YouTube directly, we can use an MCN to be able to help us in the process. But ultimately, I go, okay, the other part is you got to create a plan B. And I know it's hard starting from scratch when you have 50 million subscribers on YouTube, but you got to do it because you just don't want to wake up one morning and boom, 3 strikes or 10 strikes and you are out and your business is out. So that's why I'm talking about it right now. Let's see here. We got Twyla here. This is good stuff. Thank you. Time consuming. Need help. I do have a website and content. Very good. You've taken those steps. Really happy for you. That's awesome. We got Pam's World Unscripted of Truth. I like that. Hello, Ian. Good to see you, Pam. Thanks for joining us. We got Ramiz. Copyright materials are hard to deal with, though. Absolutely. We got Christian Nation with a question. And by the way, if you guys want me to answer questions quicker, just write question with a colon and then your question, and I will get to it. Do you review video for creators before posting on social media? I do. I have a number of clients that basically do a lot of content where they borrow copyrighted content without permission. They are going to use fair use, but they send it to me first and say, listen, do you think there's going to be a problem with this? And I go through and I analyze the videos and give them my opinion. Now, my opinion is not certain. It's just one man's subjective opinion. But I do that for creators because it provides a little bit level of security, They can sleep better at night knowing that there's been a professional social media lawyer that's reviewed their content and can say, listen, this looks like clear, fair use for me. And then the other thing that's kind of cool is that if there ever was a problem, we can work together to be able to hopefully get that content put back up if there's, YouTube gives us a strike or something. We got Hell Rio. I'm going to need to go back to the beginning of the video. Just entered and already sounds like doomsday is coming. No, I don't want to make you guys feel like doomsday is coming. We're blessed for what we have. These social media platforms are free. They're free advertising for us. Let's take advantage of it. But I just want to say that we're starting to see that it's not going to be free forever. We're just like I've said, the writing's on the wall. We're being limited in the words we can use. We're being kind of pushed to the side a little bit as far as independent creators. YouTube was an independent creator website, and now we're seeing a lot more mainstream content. That's okay, no problem. We signed up when we started using it for the terms of service and the community guidelines. We certified that we were going to follow the rules. So it just means that we got to have a plan B. And that's what we're talking about today, is that plan B. And let me just get back to a couple more slides here so that we can kind of finish up on what are the steps to prepare yourself for the end of social media. We talked about reduction in the use of copyrighted material. The other thing also is, I just mentioned it, is to review the terms of service for the platform. What the process for being a creator really is kind of figuring out what your platform pillar is, what's the main one you're going to use. I just would encourage you to do a search, find the terms of service, find the community guidelines. A lot of the social media sites are doing their best not to use legalese, so it's fairly understandable, and just review those rules so going in that maybe you can't really talk a lot about pandemic issues like on YouTube. It's really risky. So if you're in this space where you want to talk about the latest news story and you're starting up your news commentary channel and you want to talk about everything that's really going on, well, just understand YouTube community guidelines, and there's about, I want to say 10 pages of these guidelines which talk about the fact that you can't use certain words, you can't just talk about certain treatments, and that's cool. You just know going in that's happening. And maybe that causes you not to use that platform. Maybe it's a situation where you go, listen, I think I'm going to go to a little bit more loose platform like Rumble or something like that. So you trade, maybe not as much, it's not as popular as YouTube, but maybe you get more openness and allow your discussion to be more broad. So I think that it's really important that if you start a Patreon account, if you do a pillar platform, that you review these terms of service and community guidelines. If you want shortcuts, I've made dozens of videos on the terms of service for the various social media platforms. Just go to my channel, it's Ian Corzine, and you can find those videos. And I kind of take you through them. I try to do it in like an annotated fashion. We don't just read line for line. I kind of say, this means, and that way you can get kind of a Cliff Notes version of the terms of service. But I would encourage you to know the rules before you just go all in one of those social media platforms. The other thing also, we don't talk about it a little bit. A lot of us creators are very, put our nose in the air and we're like, yes, we don't do advertising. We don't pay people to look at our content. Our content stands on its own. Okay, that's a decision to make. But increasingly, the platforms are becoming more pay to play. You're going to get buried in the algorithm if you don't have some sort of pay component. And it doesn't mean spending an arm and a leg, especially when it comes to YouTube ads. YouTube ads are very flexible, but what you could do is, listen, you're doing this awesome commentary on, I don't know why I'm talking about Star Wars, but all the Star Wars movies, and you want to get the word out. You're doing a review of each and every one of them. Well, what if you, as part of your process, created a 15-second, 30-second ad that you could put on YouTube, and you could pay $5 a day or even less just to get the word out, so that YouTube is bringing new viewers with their algorithm, and then you are paying a little bit to be able to get people to see this content. I don't think it's a guaranteed, bump in subscribers or bump in views, but at least you're actually taking advantage of the platforms for what they were designed for. These are marketing platforms. They are monetizing you. When you watch videos, they're making money on it. Certainly the creator is too, but it's a quid pro quo. So think about it. Think about ways that you can respectfully and honorably prepare ads that will just get the word out about your works of art. It's really, really important to think about that. And like I said, right now, capitalizing attention on the social media platforms doesn't cost an arm and a leg. I mean, you can do Facebook ads for very cheap. You can do a limited run. You can say, listen, I'm only going to spend $10 on these Facebook ads that are letting people know about my Star Wars review. Just $10. And I think that you will see that you'll get a pickup in traffic and that you'll be able to build your community faster. So that is, I think that's important too, is to consider use of online ads to bring more people to your content. All right. Ramiz says, I don't know about social media. I used to reel and learn news things only. Yeah, that's right. But a good way to be able to teach people is to entertain them too. So I think that's another reason that people turn to social media. Anyone I know or who knows me here? Me, Ivy. I do not know you, but maybe someone does. Oh, Scott Weiland's here. All right. Hi, my name is Chris Cornell. We got Dickie Discord's Dailies. Wow. Caught it live again. Thanks, Dickie. I think last time, were you tired? I think it was a situation where you had to take a nap or something, but I'm so glad you're awake. I know I'm a little bit later in time, but I'm in Maui today, or the time is different. We got Holly, Addie and Corzine. Is there a way to protect my ideas projects when hiring freelancers on Fiverr? I'm worried they'd steal my idea and run with it. Any suggestions? Yes, there are some suggestions, definitely. You can use an NDA. You can go to my website. I actually have an NDA legal template for sale. Just go to iancorzine.com, go into the legal template section. You can find that NDA. That's what I do with my Fiverr creators, not for small stuff like a little graphic here and there, but when there's I'm putting together an online course or ads or things like that, I will use a short NDA, which obligates the person not to disclose the information that they get from you in connection with creating art for you. It also allows you to own the intellectual property rights to make sure it's clear that whatever this person is doing, it is a work for hire. It is a work for you, and you own those copyrights. That's a way to guarantee that people won't see your ideas. If they did, you have this agreement that they breached and they're liable for damages. Sometimes those damages are spelled out in the NDA, the non-disclosure agreement itself. So if you would like to access that NDA, just go to iancorzine.com, go and scroll down to the legal template section, and you can actually download that there. So that would be great. Dickie Discord Dailies, too cheap to outsource hosting these days, too much liability in running such server as well. Yeah, I mean, that may be. We could only afford what we could only afford. But I mean, having a website on Wix, having a website on Squarespace, that usually doesn't cost too much. And I think a lot of times it's very easy to maintain. So, think about it. Maybe there's a way you can afford it. We got Life Hustles. I uploaded 4 videos as shorts, less than 1 minute each. Still only 1 show as shorts, the rest not. What can be the reason? Well, did you upload those videos on mobile? Because from what I've experienced, shorts need to be uploaded from mobile. That's it. The other thing is, I've always made sure that my shorts are less than a minute. So they're 59 seconds, 58 seconds, something like that. If it is a minute, I think sometimes YouTube makes a mistake and considers it a long form video. So that may also be the problem. But for the most part, whenever I've made shorts, I actually use a normal camera and then I upload the final product to my phone and I do all the SEO and the tags and all those. Actually, maybe not tags, but certainly the description section. That is all done on the phone, and that way I can be assured that it is actually a real short. Also, I try to take advantage of the audio library that YouTube has now. They've licensed a lot of great popular music that you can use 15 seconds only in your YouTube shorts. And then if you use that that audio library, then that will automatically register it as a short if it's less than a minute. So just make sure that anything you upload as a short is mobile. It is less than a minute, 59 seconds or less. And then another way to guarantee it is that you use the shorts library. All right. I'm missing some comments here. Woo-wee. Sorry. Okay. All right, let's move on to Life Hustle's other question. Other question, is having same person doing different niche videos advisable, or I don't show my face? All right, so I think what Life is saying is that he doesn't show his face, or she doesn't show her face on her videos, but he wants to do different niche videos. I mean, the answer to this question is whatever is advisable. I mean, there are certain consequences you take when you make certain types of content. So there are channels out there that are very successful doing different types. I will say that if you want a safer path, creating a niche and staying within that niche is better suited for the algorithm, because the algorithm, the AI, the computers, it really wants to give people more of the same, right? And frankly, it does align a little bit with human nature. People kind of like a video and they really watch it and they kind of want more of the same. So if you're really trying to maximize your content for being served to others, to non-subscribers, people like that, then picking a niche is advisable. But the downside to picking a niche and staying with it and doing the same thing is you get bored, because all of us are multifaceted. We have different interests. We like archery as well as cooking. So if it doesn't make you happy just to make, how to target a arrow when you're shooting a bow and arrow over and over and over, then for the sake of your sanity, you've got to consider doing different types of videos. The one area where I've seen it work better than others is if you tell your viewers right up front, this is a channel about baking cakes and archery. Just let them know that so that they can kind of switch gears when you do different content. So that's the best one. Andrew is saying, when do you suppose social media will come to an end? I just got here. Yeah, thanks, Andrew. I think it's going to be incremental. I think we're going to wake up and certain small changes are going to happen, right? I think we're going to wake up and creators are going to just get less views because more and more mainstream content or paid for content is going to be pushed to the top. It's just going to be little changes. You can't talk about these terms. Oh, by the way, you can't talk about this issue. And they'll just slide it in. So I don't think it's going to be like one day in 2023 on December 1st, they're going to say, you can no longer create. Social media has markedly changed. I just think it's going to change over time. And I think we're going to wake up and if we don't have a plan B, then we're going to have a problem. And plan B is not that difficult. Plan B just means let's start to own our audience by creating an email list. There's plenty of free programs like MailChimp that allow you to be able to cultivate an audience by giving value, by saying, listen, I'm going to give you this free guide. I'm going to give you this video in exchange for your email address, and then be able to use that email address as a notification. Hey, my next video is out. And that way you can control it. And it's not very difficult to figure out a paywall, whether it be your own website or whether it be one of the websites, Subscribestar or Patreon or Podia. So those are the kind of main concepts. And then understand, kind of change your content so that you can kind of mirror what's going on. And I'm saying that I'm seeing it every day. Creators are getting shut down by excessive copyrighted content. Don't get angry. Maybe you can do that on your website. Maybe you can do that on Patreon. Just understand that if you rely on 30-second clips of popular videos, you're going to get shut down and you're not going to have access to that platform. And that's a shame, because that platform is there to get the word out about your art. All right. Let's see. Okay, we got Ramiz saying, how do I send you a video to review, Mr. Ian? Well, I think the best way, unfortunately, I only have so much time, and so I do monetize my time. Best way is to actually schedule a consult with me personally, privately. What you do is go to iancorzine.com. You go into the upper right-hand corner and you click on the link to book now. You can get on my calendar, and then we can schedule a time via Zoom to talk about these things. You can upload the videos or upload the documents, whatever you want, before the consult. So I'll have a chance to review the videos, kind of give some notes, and we can talk about your videos and say, listen, I think this falls a little far of adequate fair use. Listen, I think you're using too much copyrighted content here. Have you thought about this? What if we change this so that you don't use as much copyrighted content? So that's the best way to go to iancorzine.com. Click on book now, get on my calendar, and then we can talk about it personally and then, privately too. Ramiz, you mean read the terms of service? I know them. Well, awesome, Ramiz. I think you're in the minority. Birdie Lynn TV says hi. Hi, Birdie Lynn. Good to see you. We got Earth Central here. I'm technically in the news niche, but I focus on meteorological and geological events like Hurricane Ida or Larry. Well, I love that. First of all, we need more of that because it seems like weather is just ambiguous, and most of the commentators on mainstream media, they don't understand. And I would love a detailed explanation of why this is happening and how can we prepare for it. Also, I love your niche because it doesn't appear, at least yet, to be political. So that's another good thing. And then I think a lot of it would use either content that wouldn't be claimed or public domain content. So I think that's a really, really good niche. But again, let's go through the fair use factors before you start using broadcasts or other people's copyrighted content of the hurricanes. You can do that by going to my channel, Ian Corzine, and then finding my fair use videos. I've made, playlists and dozens of fair use videos to explain step by step how you use commentary to be able to get copyrighted clips in there without permission. We got Sim Architect. We are being gradually kicked out. We need a replacement for YouTube as a source of audience before it is too late. Regular search engines are doing the same. Yeah, I tend to agree with Sim Architect. I think we are slowly but surely getting the message that it's not going to be forever. And I can't tell you if it's in 6 months that independent creators are thwarted. I can't tell you if it's in a year. I can't tell you if it's in 2 years. And frankly, I hope I'm not right. All I'm concerned about is making sure I have the plan B. I've done the LLC. I've done the website. I've done paywall provisions. I have an email list. And I'm not trying to brag. I'm just saying, I want you to benefit from my experience and get that plan B in case we wake up and social media is gone. YouTube doesn't work, or YouTube is only pay to play. In other words, you have to pay $5.99 a month to watch videos. And a lot of the independent creators don't get the views that they're entitled to. Let's see, we got Twyla. Can you send me a social media person recommendation list? Well, it depends on where you're from, Twyla, but I certainly know some social media managers that I could refer you to. Best thing to do in that situation would be to email me at info@iancorzine.com. That's info@iancorzine.com. And I would have one of my team members get back to you on some of the social media managers we recommend or VAs that might help you on your journey. Okay, we got Doug. Let's see. Doug is talking to Life Hustles. Dickie, Google is also giving away money to pay for one's advertisements. 300 I never bothered to use. Oh, well, that's cool. It's cool you got $300 to use. Leo Sketches says, nice to see you, Ian. Nice to see you, Leo. I know I'm a little bit later than usual, but thank you for joining me. Oh, Stock Sports is nice background, nice view. Thank you so much. I'm very blessed to be in Maui today, so I'm trying to take advantage of the trees back there. Oh, Dickie Discord. Let me put that up there. Thank you for your time, brother. Well, thank you so much, and I love the $3.33. It means so much that you part. I know you especially. You're trying to make ends meet. You're trying to do everything you can on your social media channels, and that amount of money really, really means a lot to me. So thank you. I appreciate it. What about DTube? Wouldn't that serve as a good alternative platform? Is it DTube? Let me look that up because I don't think it's. Are you talking about? Oopsies. DTube. Oh, DTube. Is that R2D2? I just looked it up. I actually have not used DTube yet, but I will look into it. It looks like a good platform. It looks similar to YouTube. Yeah, I'm gonna. What I'm gonna do is after the live, I think what I'm gonna do is go through and look at the terms of service there, and also look at some of the videos there. It may be a great alternative. I have to kind of figure out what the themes of content that really resonate is at DTube. But that's good. That sounds like good. Oh, he says Sim Architect is dead over there, so maybe I don't know. Moving on to Christian Nation. Have you sold an NFT? How would you use NFTs for your business? Just depends on if you're being creative. I love people out there who are creative, who are sketchers, graphic designers, painters. I think it's a great business to get into.